And of course, if all else fails, I'll rely on no one else. I'ma do better. Hey, it's your homeboy, The Identity Crisis, on behalf of Modern Mississauga Media, and I am super excited today because I'm joined by some phenomenal guests. HYPROV is coming to Living Arts Center in Mississauga February the 7th, and I've got the masterminds behind this show. I've got the master hypnotist, improver, and peak performance coach, Mr. Asad Mecci, as well as the Canadian comedy icon and international improv icon, Mr. Colin Mochrie, joining me. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, how did this show come to be? How do you even stumble upon something like this?
I was taking classes at the Second City to improve my own stagecraft. And oftentimes the instructors would say, get out of your head, you're too much in your head. And what I understood that to mean is stop consciously constructing the comedy. First time improvisers, they'll play to the crowd, they'll look nervous, they'll hesitate. Whereas people who are hypnotized, they just follow my instructions without hesitation and without question. So I thought, is it possible to hypnotize somebody who has no improv experience and turn them into a great improviser? And is it possible then to raise the bar even further and bring in the world's greatest improviser, Mr. Colin Mochrie, from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
You stumbled over that a little bit. I'm just saying.
Really?
Thank God you got world's greatest living improviser out, because I was worried.
Now, we have toured this show 150 cities across North America. We performed off-Broadway to critical acclaim. We were covered by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Time Out, and New Yorker. We've done 6 months at Harris. When Colin's unavailable, we've had in 12 other improvisers to substitute in when Colin's not available. But we're coming to the Living Arts Center and looking forward to performing for you. Colin will be performing at the Living Arts Center, and it's going to be a wild ride.
Oh man, I'm so stoked to see this. This is actually going to be my third show. Now, for the skeptics, it's different every single time, like vastly different. I went to see you guys in Oakville back in 2023, and I saw you at the residency in Toronto in 2024, and both shows were like day and night, but they were always equally funny. Now, you mentioned that you have toured this internationally. In terms of Canada, which province would you say is the most susceptible to hypnosis?
Wow, trying to get us in trouble. I haven't noticed. Have you, Asad?
No, I think susceptibility is not really the question. The question is, who's the most entertaining? And I got to tell you, West Coasters are hilarious. It's the ability to dissociate from your surroundings and be able to get caught up in the moment. So the best subjects are the people who are able to watch a movie, like a horror movie, and jump in their chair, or watch a tearjerker and cry. They're able to dissociate from their surroundings, immerse themselves into the experience, and then get a real physiological response. And so, for example, when we say to them, they fall madly in love with Colin, they're really immersed in that moment, and they look at him with loving eyes, I tell you.
Well, it's understandable, I would think. I mean, that's probably one of the easiest suggestions you can give someone.
How do you hypnotize and how do you improv on stage? How do you blend this whole thing?
I'm the master hypnotist on the show. I bring up 20 volunteers. I hypnotize them, whittle it down to the best subjects, and then Colin Mochrie walks in and takes the stage, commands it, and improvises with these people while they're hypnotized. It is absolutely hysterical to watch Colin Mochrie from Whose Line Is It Anyway improvising with these people. I mean, every single night, it's a different night. It's really about unlocking the creative improv genius of these people on stage, and then watching Colin then improvise with them. I always say I have a front row seat to the best comedy in the world.
Yeah, you do. You're lucky. It's what I love about this show is we take two art forms that people don't really believe in, and stick them together and force them to change their minds by the end. There were, when we were doing Whose Line, we would always get these comments like, I can tell you're reading the teleprompter. It's like, really? I would say, write that scene out, read it, and try to make sense of it. No, we don't teleprompt it. And same with hypnosis. And I think there's two sort of camps of people who don't believe what we do. One camp is, well, I can't do it, so how can anyone? And the other camp is just through ignorance. And I'm not talking, the the big ignorance. I'm just saying they're just not educated in the way of both improv and hypnosis. Improv is really basically easy. All you have to do is listen to what your partner is saying, accept the idea, and then build on it. It goes against everything we do as human beings. That's why people think it's more difficult than it is. And then with hypnosis, people think, well, these people are zoned out, they become different people or something, but they're the same person. They're aware the entire time we're doing the show. They hear everything. They still have their own personalities. It's probably maybe even amplified a little bit because they don't have that inner voice telling them to be embarrassed, or they're not going to be funny, or they're not going to be able to do what's required of them. And they do it.
I've seen a bunch of improv shows. I've seen the Who's Live show. I've seen Colin and Brad. And I noticed that the improver is doing the heavy lifting. I noticed with HYPROV, it's kind of nice because you've got a team of people that you're kind of sharing the load with. Colin, does this feel like a lot less work?
You're right in that we're showcasing them, so we let them run off with whatever they're doing. My job is kind of to sort of make sense of what's going on and to sort of streamline the story, get towards an ending, because they're not looking towards that. They're not thinking, oh, if I say this will lead to this area and then we can end the scene. They just have this moment in time. This is all they're thinking about. So it's up to me and Asad, who's constantly watching to make sure, because they cycle in and out of trance throughout the show. So he's working to make sure they stay in where they're supposed to be. Then we have John Hilson, our incredible musician, who's also adding to the atmosphere, and with the music also I think he also sort of directs the improviser sometimes, depending on what the music he's playing. I think it sort of strikes a chord with them and makes them either sad or they give them an excitement. So yeah, we're all working together with no one really taking the top spot.
Now, Colin, you've had quite the career. And what would you say are the keys to longevity?
Gee, you know what? If you looked at my career, you will notice there's absolutely no plan whatsoever. It truly is just, I'll do this then. I think part of it is doing things like HYPROV was a chance for me to do something different, do something more challenging. When I love working with the Who's Line guys, I love working with Brad. But when we're improvising, I can sort of see, I bet they're going to go this way, or I can sometimes come up with the joke they're going to come up with. And I don't have that with these hypnovisers. And that's what I love about it. It takes me back to my early days of improv, where I really had to focus on my partners. I really had to listen because I couldn't assume anything. So it's really sharpened me up. And I think that's part of it. Just keeping up with the times, challenging yourself, not falling back on old habits, because the audiences change. Improv has like a really wide demographic. Everything from kids to grandparents come and see our shows. So we have to sort of keep up with that, keep feeding them what they want to hear.
Now, in terms of what you guys have coming up next, are there any other projects you guys want to talk about?
I will tell you that we are filming February 2nd. We are filming in Oshawa. We're doing 2 recordings of HYPROV. There will be an afternoon show and then an evening show. And we are getting it finally, after almost a decade, performing together on video. And we've got a few irons in the fire. We can't discuss exactly where it's going to end up, but it's very exciting stuff.
Yeah, what I love about this show is when we look at the first show we did compared to what we're doing now, I always say it's sort of like the difference between Pong and Super Mario Brothers. It took us some time to figure out what we could do with the hypnovisers and what they were able to do. And once we sort of found the key, which basically is keep it simple, give them one sentence like, you're in love with Colin in this scene, or your pet just died, or you're a superhero. Keep it short and concise, and they can do anything. And that's what's amazing. I think we've just sort of bumped into the top of the iceberg. There's a whole giant mass underneath the water that we can still explore. What a horrible metaphor that was.
It's been over 100 years. I think we're okay.
Okay, it's not too soon. All right.
Is there anything else you guys want to plug?
Second season of Old Enough, a show that I've done a narration. We're going to start doing that, I guess, next month. So if you haven't seen the first season, you can catch up with it on YouTube and other platforms. It's a fun show.
I've got an album out with Rufus Wainwright, who is an iconic singer-songwriter. There are three major components to it. One is Morning Awakenings. The second one is a track around creativity. And the third one is giving some suggestions and relaxation around sleep. And John Hilson, our pianist and music director, is showcased on the album along with Rufus Wainwright. So very excited about that. It's out now. You can stream it on all platforms.
HYPROV comes to Living Arts Center February 7th. Make sure you check out HYPROV.com. You can get tickets at Ticketmaster, and check out ColinMochrie.com and AsadMecci.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to laughing my ass off again for the third time. I got to tell you, the last time I went, I was out of laughs by halfway through the show, and my cheeks were in so much pain, both sets of cheeks.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thanks again. I'll see you February 7th.
excellent. Look forward to it.
Bye.
Take care.